It used to be that folks lived within their means.
It used to be that folks could live a kind of average middle-class life within the incomes they earned. Today, quite frankly, it takes an upper income in order to support a middle-class life. The big expenses, housing, health care, child care, transportation, have gone up so dramatically at a time when income has stayed flat that the only way the family can pull it together is to go into debt.
What are some of the other reasons people find themselves in debt?
The big one is medical debt.
Medical debt.
Part of how we pay for health care in America today is by laying down plastic. For the 47 million uninsured Americans, plastic is all they got. And let's be clear, even families with health insurance are using credit cards. They're using them for co-pays. They're using them for parts that aren't covered under their health care plans. We ask individual families, when somebody gets sick, to find a way to pay for it. And a credit card that may start out at 7.5% is the answer. The problem is what happens next. The person can't work, falls a little behind, and all of a sudden we're financing medical debt 2, 3, 4 years down the line at 29% interest, $45 a month on fees. The family is now caught. And frankly, they will never get out of it.
Can we ever go back to living within our means?
I think it's the wrong way to ask the question. The question is not about living within our means in the sense of too many expensive toys. The real question is if we've got flat wages, rising core expenses, not enough health insurance, not enough job security, something's got to give. We've got a blanket to try to cover our families that's just too short. You can pull it up here and your feet stick out, or you can cover your feet, but you can't get covered up above.
That's a tall order for change.
But this isn't about simple solutions. This really is about strengthening middle-class America. Middle-class America is under attack, and it's under attack in part from a multi-billion-dollar industry that has figured out that you can just keep carving profits out of them. No single magic bullet will fix everything. No one thing. But we can make it a whole lot better by getting some decent, fair rules on credit cards.
So you're in debt. You can't pay your credit card bills anymore. The company sends collection notices for 3 months. They throw up their hands. What happens next?
That's when the phone calls begin.
And who's making the calls at this point?
The first round is by the credit card company itself, usually. Most large credit card companies have someone in-house. It's called to work the accounts. And so they call. Some use the strategy of being the nice guy. I know you are having a difficult time, but pay us $50.
And they're the nice guys. They're the good guys.
They're the good guys, right? And when that doesn't work, the credit card companies say, fine. They have exactly so many days. They'll spend time on that. They bundle up all the ones that haven't been paid, and they sell them. They sell them the same way you and I would sell our old furniture, right? We said, we're tired of that stuff. You bundle it up, and you sell it in the market.
And who do they sell it to?
They sell it to people who make a lot of money from buying it and working it a second time.
And this is a booming industry.
This is a huge industry.
And what's their rap, the second level?
So the second level tends to be the pay it or your life becomes a living hell.
A living hell.
A living hell.
In what way?
Well, let me see how many ways I can do. Sometimes your life will become a living hell because I will call you, and 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 I will call you. I will call you, and I will call you vile names. I will call you, and I will harangue you. I will call you, and I will make fun of you. I'll look on your application, and I'll call your mom. I'll call your dad. I'll call your neighbor. We study the families who filed for bankruptcy. And one of the main reasons they identified for what they hope to accomplish by filing for bankruptcy is to stop the calls. Stop frightening me. Stop frightening my children. Stop threatening us.
Is this an industry that's out of control?
This is an industry that makes its money by being out of control. This is an industry that is profiting out of terrifying people. Look, if I can't scare you into paying this, I don't make the money.
And in some cases, breaking the law along the way.
Hey, catch me, prove it.
How do you think the consumer debt industry has to be reformed?
Well, we not only need better laws to control the activities of debt collectors, we need serious enforcement. The families themselves who are on the ropes when they receive these calls are not going to be the people who are going to enforce the law. We need serious state attorneys general who have real power to step in and say, hey, this stops.
We see these commercials for credit cards where the happy American freewheeling spender is ready to toss down his plastic and get whatever luxury item he needs. Has there been a shift in the American psyche to where it's acceptable to be carrying large amounts of credit card debt?
Look, there's money to be made in debt. Credit card issuers, banks have made literally trillions of dollars in profits off those credit cards. And that means it's been worthwhile for them to spend billions of dollars over the last 25 years in telling the American people, debt is good, debt is valuable, debt is what responsible people take on, debt is what loving people take on, debt is what successful people take on. Of course it's changed our attitudes. That's what $1 billion will buy you.
You tell a story about a banking executive who said something to you when you were giving a presentation.
Right.
Describe that to me.
So I was asked by an eager young official at the bank to come present some of my data about bankruptcies. The banks were very concerned, this is back in the 80s, about how much they were losing when customers filed for bankruptcy and wrote off their credit card debt. And basically I said, look, if you would just use a credit screen and get rid of this relatively modest percentage of high-risk borrowers, you could cut your bankruptcy losses very easily. And everyone's all excited about it. And then the person in the back of the room raised his hand, and everyone got quiet, and I suddenly realized, there's the guy with all the power. And he said, all very well, Professor Warren, but those customers are where we're making all our profits.
And what did that say to you?
It's all over. Everyone got up and left. In other words, no one wanted to cut out the people who can't pay.
But if people can't pay their bills, how do the credit card companies make the money?
Well,
if I can't write the check to MasterCard, how are they making money?
Well, because you write a few checks to MasterCard before you quit. Can't pay doesn't mean never pay a nickel, but pay enough to pay back the basic principal and pay a big chunk of interest on top of that. The reality is, you were probably profitable to them. They made enough money early on in your payments that you were a profitable customer.